been a while, I think. It seems like, okay, I was in Italy, and then I was here for another reason. I know,
I'll be your ethnic man.
huh?
I'll be your ethnic man.
He's doing it for WK, wow.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Did you hear me on MUK?
Yes, I did.
I did a promo, a subscriber promo for MUK.
So he's in the Judy Sarkozy.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Very cool. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Excuse my voice, I still am recovering from a good 2 weeks of COVID, so I got it from my granddaughter, who wanted to give me lots of kisses, and then I found out that she tested positive for COVID, and I was like, the kisses were worth it. But the kicker of my story is that I had to go to a conference in San Antonio, Texas, and I had to test negative before going as part of our COVID protocol. And I did, and I had been testing. I mean, I found out on like Monday evening that she was positive, so I tested Monday and Tuesday, but I had to leave Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock, and I was still negative, and I had a little bit of a scratchy throat. And I thought, well, I'm still testing negative, and so flew to San Antonio with the sales team. It was the sales conference, the LCS sales conference. Got there, we had some lunch, and Thomas sat across from me, and you know, when you're not eating lunch, or when you're eating lunch, you're not wearing your mask, and so we had a great lunch, and then we went back to visit with all of the vendors, and I started not feeling very well, so I said, I think I'm gonna go lay down, and I got up to my room, and I started shivering, and I thought, oh no, and I got underneath my covers, and I was still shivering, and I thought, oh no, so I tested again, and I tested positive. So I had to find my boss, who at this time now is down at the cocktail party. Nobody's gonna hear their phones, and they're gonna wonder where I am. So I got on my mask, and I went downstairs, and I showed my boss my picture of my test on my phone, and she said, well, you need to go back to your hotel room. And I said, I know, and I said, but I can't fly home. And so she said, well, let's figure out what we need to do. So that evening I got a call from HR, and they said, well, you've got the option of driving home from San Antonio, Texas, or the first possible time you could fly home is Sunday. This is Wednesday, and the whole time you have to stay in your hotel room. You know, you can't leave your hotel room. And that's only if your symptoms start getting better. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I got up the next morning, and I thought, okay, I feel pretty good. I think I can drive home. And so I contacted our travel agency that we use, and they said, well, the kicker is there's not a whole lot of car rental places right now that are doing a one-way travel, because they like to keep their cars, because they have such a difficult time getting them. And I said, okay. And they said, well, one of them is $1, and so they gave me all the information, but there happened to be a car rental in the hotel. And so I called them, and they said, yes, we do. So I said, great. So I called my boss, and I said, I'm gonna drive home. And she's like, no, you're not. She said, if you drive home, she said, somebody's going to drive you home. And so my hero, Thomas, drove me home. He figured he had already been exposed because he sat right across from me at lunch. But you know, you just never know with COVID how it's going to affect you. You know, I could start getting really sick. I could start getting really sleepy, and that would not be good while I'm driving across the country. So Thomas volunteered to drive me home, and we were both masked the entire time. Car windows were down, and it was traffic for probably the first 6 hours was just bumper to bumper. I mean, it was busy construction. And so, I said, I don't do very well driving in the dark. I don't have great night vision, so I prefer not to drive in the dark. So I said, I'll drive for a little while so you can get some sleep. And I said, we can stay at a hotel somewhere. And he's like, nope, we're driving straight through. And I said, really? Okay, you know, and so he said, I do this all the time with my kids. We go on these ski trips and we just do a road trip and drive right there. So we drove straight through. I drove for about 3 hours, until it got really dark, and then let him have a rest so that he could get some sleep. And then he drove all night long, and we got home at 8:30 the next morning at the airport, where then our cars both were, and then both of us left from there. So I checked every single day with him. Are you still negative? Are you still negative? Are you still negative? And he stayed negative the entire time. So I was so grateful for that. But what a trooper to drive me all the way home. And thank goodness that he did, because day 5 was absolutely horrible for me. I would not have been able to fly home probably until the following Saturday I started feeling better. So that would, is he back? Yes, he had both boosters as well.
That's nice to know.
Yep. But so was I. I had both boosters as well, but it wasn't the variant booster, which, you know, that's very important to get, and that's what we're setting up. We currently have it set up for October 27th for all of our residents. We realize that's a little ways away. We're trying to see if we can get the vaccine sooner so that we can administer it versus the pharmacy. They can't get here until the 27th. But from my understanding, it's the vaccine isn't that easy to get as well. So if it's close to the 27th, we'll probably just stick with that date. In the meantime, if you want to go out to Walgreens, it's available to anybody over 12 that can get to Walgreens or another pharmacy of your choice and get the shot. Highly recommend it. Rose?
A lot of people have been going to KMAD, just across West Main, and then Myers.
They both have it as well. So KMED, which is right across West Main on the left-hand side, there's that little pharmacy there. Most people go to get tested there. And then Myers Pharmacy also has it, the shots as well. So Target has it also. Walgreens, and did you get the flu and the variant both in the same? Did you? The thing that I struggle with that is that I've always been told you should never get the same thing on the same day, because if you have a reaction, you don't know which one you had a reaction to. But I got the shingle shot and the vaccine both at the same time, and that was not a good next day, but but that's good to know that you had the.
Did we need to report Friendship Village somewhere if we get the shot?
If you have received the shot, yes, if you can bring your record to the front desk, and we'll take a copy of that and get that to Michaela, because we keep everybody's on file. If you should need it for anything, you can get a copy of it. Like if you lose your copy, we've got a copy here for you. So it's best, and that way we also have it on record. We track all of our residents and all of our staff in terms of who all has had the vaccine and the boosters, and who is positive and when they become negative. And I did not test negative until last Sunday was my first day. It was a long haul for me. I lost my taste, my smell. It's coming back a little bit. Rose, I know Rose shared some news after town hall the other day that she said she has a family member that has not gotten their taste back for a year. So it's a very odd feeling. I can taste sweet and spice, but I can't taste the flavor of what it is, which is just a very different feeling, when you have that going on. But and still congested a little bit and sneezing, and but it sounds like that's about the same symptoms that most everybody is getting, is the you either get pretty sick with it, like a pretty bad head cold and the taste and the smell. Most of the physicians will give the Paxlovid for people that have comorbidities, but my doctor said, no, you're too healthy, we don't recommend it. I guess that's a good thing, but we don't recommend it because they said that people that are taking it that don't have any comorbidities, that they're getting over it fast, but then it rebounds and it comes back and it's worse. So they're really trying not to give the Paxlovid to folks that don't necessarily need it, that don't have the comorbidities. So now I did talk to one of our residents that had the Paxlovid, and she said that the taste, one of the side effects to it is it leaves a horrible taste in your mouth. But I guess versus getting really, really sick and hopefully getting over it sooner, you might be able to live with that a little bit better. But do you have a couple questions?
Are you planning on flu shots?
Yes, flu shots will be held the same day, on the 27th. Yep, October 27th. Yeah, if we end up getting the vaccine before the 27th, we will probably do the flu shots still on the 27th with pharmacy. And we'll do the vaccine at a different date, and we'll let you all know that. We're gonna put out a jot form, for those of you that are familiar with our jot forms, to let us know who's interested in getting that shot on the 27th, just so that we can let pharmacy know how many doses we're probably looking at for our residents. And we're trying to set up a clinic for our staff as well. Hold on 1 second, Diana's better.
Back to the immunizations, if you wanna stick with the Moderna formulation, the Walgreens up here on Drake and Main doesn't have it, but the one at 9th Street and West Main has it.
The Moderna versus the Pfizer? Okay, so the one up on 9th Street has Moderna if you wanna stay with Moderna. Okay, the one down here on the corner has the Pfizer. Okay. I think it's kind of a personal preference. I've heard that it doesn't really matter, but if you have one or the other, or a mixture of both, excuse me. This is not a good reason to have the look on. I am no longer contagious. So that's a good thing. So the good news on, well, there's a little bit of good news, is that the variant, the transmission rate, we just received the transmission rate from LCS, and we're at 26.10, we were at 29.4, a few weeks before that we were at 31.7, so we are starting to see that come down a bit, but I think when school started, they started to see an uptick in that, and that's where that higher percentage came into play. So if you are feeling like you have a cold or you're getting a cold, please get tested, because the symptoms are so much cold, like a cold, just your common cold, that it could be COVID. And I had symptoms probably for a full day, and a couple of days, that little scratchy throat the day before, and I was testing negative until I had the chills. So, and we're finding that quite a bit. We have an employee who's out right now, and her son got it, and she tested negative for 3 days before she tested positive. So it's just a very odd variant. So please remember to wear your mask, social distance, hygiene, everything that we've talked about. But if you need to get tested, call home health, and we will bring a test to you. And we'll basically what they do is they bring the test, they have you do the swab, they leave, and if you don't get a call within 15 minutes, you're good to go. What's that? You can call the front desk and they can transfer you to home health, or if you have the phone book, you can call the home health office directly or call Reagan or Mallory. Any one of those will work. Rose?
Not that I'm trying to promote KMED, but if you want the PCR test, KMED does that, and they have a $10 fund, and they'll meet you at the door.
Yeah, so if you want the rapid, those are the tests that we have here. We do also, there are days that we are testing with PCR for our staff, and those get sent out, so it might be that, it might be on a day, it depends on, I wanna say it's Tuesdays and Thursdays that we do testing in rehab for our staff that isn't all the way up to date on vaccines. Like for instance, the second booster wasn't available for people unless you were 50 or older. So we have a lot of employees that are, they don't have the 2 boosters because they weren't 50 yet. Now they're available for the variant booster, they can get that. But we do additional testing, and we do testing for those that have the exemption, and those are PCR tests on Tuesday and Thursday. So if that's something that's happening and you feel that you want to get tested thinking that you may be coming down with it, Reagan may have them do a PCR just because they're a little bit more accurate than the rapid tests are, and they show up sooner than the rapid tests do. So if it's on one of those days, it gets sent out and then we get the results the next day. But as Rose said, KMED, which is right across the street, as we talked about on the left, small little pharmacy, but they have a tent right out front. They meet you right there in the tent. They do the test, and then you get the test results emailed to you within, usually 6-8 hours now.
Betsy, you can also contact home health with your family.
Yep, you can contact home health with your Echo device as well, if you have one of those.
I just wanted to say that your experience is a nightmare that we all imagine when we're thinking about taking a trip. So I really appreciate you sharing all of the details with us. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was, I just wanted to be home. I mean, everybody wants to be home, when you're sick and not feeling well. And really the only way to get home was to drive. So it was a long drive, but it was worth it because I started really feeling bad probably that Friday after I crawled into bed, and then, my head started filling up. And
so if we decide to do a trip, can we have Thomas accompany us?
Yeah, you can ask Thomas to be your driver. He was a trooper. We both had our masks tightly fitted, and we were constantly sanitizing. He was really, really good at it. And throughout at the beginning of the conference, he was always sanitizing his hands and just very conscientious of the protocols. So, yeah, he was a trooper. I was starting to lose my voice, and I told him, I said, if you need someone to keep you awake, if you need me to keep you awake, I can sing at the top of my lungs, really loud for you. And he was like, no, I'm good, thanks. So yeah, it was interesting, but it was the same when I went to Italy. One of the things that we were in the hotel room, and there was another group that was there, and there were 10 people that had tested positive with their group, and they had to stay in their hotel rooms for 10 days and not come out. And you knew who those people were because most of them all had the room service, and you had to tell them that you're in COVID protocol, so they literally just drop your food at your door in disposables and take off, and so yeah, they could not leave. They had to wait 10 days and then go back to the pharmacy and retest. That was the protocol for Italy at the time. So we were lucky. Nobody in our group when I did go to Italy, nobody in our group tested positive. We were all able to leave. Our flights were delayed for 2 days, but we were able to leave based on, everybody testing negative, so. And I'm not sure, it's always changing, the different, countries are changing their protocol based on kind of what's happening, but. Okay, let's see, well, the one other thing I will talk about when we were in San Antonio, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there, as our community was being recognized, but, in the opening session, they went through awards, and talked and recognized the communities that were at 95%, or more occupancy in different levels of care. And Friendship Village actually received the recognition and an award. These things have become so big that it used to be you had to go up for your award, but it would have taken all day for the amount of people. There were 600 people that were at this conference. So Friendship Village was recognized for 95% occupancy in independent living, which has really been a challenge post-COVID. We've been doing really well. Our wait list just continues to grow. People are upset because we have a large wait list and they waited too long, to take that next apartment or to take that next garden home. But our wait list for the garden homes is about 2 to 5 years. And the wait list for the apartments is anywhere from 1 to 3 years, depending on the style apartment. So it's a very, very robust wait list. I guess it's a good problem to have. So it's, the other thing that I shared at town hall meeting was that Life Care Services communities just within their the portfolio is much higher in occupancy than other communities that are not with LCS. So I think a lot of it is our approach, the different advertising, the reviews that we do. We talk about, and I talked about this yesterday in our orientation with our staff, is, I said, how many people order off of the internet? And I think almost every employee raised their hand. And I said, how many of you actually read the reviews before you place an order? And almost every single one of them raised their hand. And I said, there are communities that are actually making purchases or buying into Life Care or coming to communities based on those reviews that they're reading. And so when you're asked by one of us, we have a review campaign going on with all the directors right now, because the more reviews, that number one, it's free marketing for Friendship Village. But number two, when families or clients that are looking at moving to Friendship Village are reading about a review of a resident's experience or a review of a family member's experience when they're looking to have their mom or dad move into assisted living or to the health center, that means a lot. They're making their decisions based on those reviews. So if you're approached by one of the directors to possibly write us a review, a lot of folks have said, well, I don't really know how to do that, and so we have what's called a skinny card, and the reason we call it a skinny card is because it's skinny. It makes no sense whatsoever. I said, I don't know how we came up with the name, but it's just like a little cheat sheet that tells you how to go in on Google and do a review for Friendship Village, how to go in on Facebook and do a review on Friendship Village. The one thing that we ask our staff is to go into Indeed, which is the platform that that applicants are looking at when trying to find a job. And you can go in there and you can look up Friendship Village and you can say, what are their reviews? How do employees view Friendship Village to work for them? And so we ask our employees to go on there and do a review for us, if you have a positive experience and in your job here and you really love working at Friendship Village, share that with everybody else who's looking for a job. Because it's not always all about the money, it's about what people really value, what they really like about their job. And so we give them, the employees, a skinny card, if you will, on Indeed.com, and so they go on there and do that. But it really does help us out with those reviews, especially if any of you who are purchasing online and you read those reviews and you make those purchases. I said, do we know those people? We don't know who they are, but we're actually trusting them and reading that review and making our purchase based on what they actually wrote. So, so if you are approached, that's what it's about. They give you the instructions on how to do it, and they'll probably even walk you through it, because we're in a campaign and really trying to get, I think it's 45 for our first year is what our goal is, and we are currently at 27, and we started in April. So we're doing really well on our reviews. One of the things that, and you can see up here on the screen, and I talked a little bit about this too at Town Hall, is our open positions. And we've got about 20 open positions still. They're not all full-time, some of those are part-time. But it's still a real challenge throughout all of the United States in staffing. It truly is. I think Las Vegas is the only place that isn't looking for staffing. I went to see my brother, and he was like, staffing problems? He lives in the Lake Las Vegas area, and he said, we don't see any staffing problems here. And I said, that's unusual, because it seems like it's everywhere you go, it's help wanted, help wanted. And it's really a challenge in trying to figure out, how can we get to people differently? And how do we get to those people that aren't looking for a job? And so we were approached by iHeartMedia, who were the very first healthcare customer that they have. They started with, they started doing this campaign with the prisons, because after COVID, prisons also were really, really struggling with their staffing. And so iHeartMedia partnered with them to try to get to those people that really weren't looking for a job, but once it came across in front of them, they kind of thought to themselves, well, that might be kind of neat. That might be a neat job to have, and they are not having any problems with staffing anymore. So iHeartMedia, we met with them, and they said, this is something that we would like to do, because healthcare in itself is such a challenge. Everybody's just, a lot of people are just burnt out, right? From COVID, 2.5 years of COVID, people were just leaving left and right from the healthcare field. You look at Bronson Hospital or Borges, I mean, they have hundreds of positions available because people have just left the healthcare field based on this past pandemic. So we met with, his name is Kim, and we met with him, and he said, what we do is if you're online and looking at different things on the computer, you'll see little ads that pop up from time to time. And so what this is actually a little ad campaign that's going to go on social media, Instagram, Facebook, just on Google itself. There will be some Google ads that pop up. But this is the first one that we're doing is actually a video. And I wanted to kind of show you, I talked about this in Town Hall as well, but it's a quick 30 seconds. It can't be too long because you're gonna lose people's interest, but you wanna give them just the fast details so that if they are interested, they know where to go to look for a job.
Friendship Village Kalamazoo is invested in your success and is hiring now for all positions. Build your career in a friendly, supportive, and fun environment while providing vibrant senior living in a life care community. Friendship Village offers a generous benefit package, including training, tuition reimbursement, career advancement, and scholarships. Enjoy coming to work on our beautiful campus with staff access to our gym and aquatic center. Friendship Village. Check out all the opportunities available on our website at friendshipvillagemi.com/careers.
Isn't it fun?
Who's the narrator?
It's somebody at their radio station. It's fast. It's kind of like one of those ones where you see the medications on the TV and then they go through and the side effects are, you know, you can hardly keep up. But you know, you can go back and you can click on it again and it'll show you, but it gives our website in terms of, you know, where to go to look. So when you go to friendshipvillagemi.com/careers, the applications are right on there. It takes you to the application, takes you to the open positions that we have, and talks a little bit about the open positions, and then allows them to fill out an application right from our website. So that's one of them. And then there are some others that are just like a flyer. So what they can do is, if this just pops up, it's not gonna play anything, but if they click on it, it's gonna take them to our website that takes them to that same information. So this is one of those. Here's another one. We believe in being a community where people want to live, work, and visit. Join our team. Again, they can click on it and it will take them to our website. This is a little bit different, making a difference in people's lives every day. We believe in being a community where people want to live, work, and visit. Join our team. This one's a little bit more wordy. Build your career in a friendly, supportive, and fun environment while providing vibrant senior living and a life care community. Why work for us? Friendship Village offers a generous benefit package including training, tuition reimbursement, career advancement, and scholarships. Enjoy coming to work on our beautiful campus with free staff access to our gym and aquatic centers. Friendship Village Kalamazoo is invested in your success and is hiring now for all positions. So they would click on that learn more. It would take them to our website with the open positions and the applications. So what's neat about this campaign is that once this, and it just went out starting Monday, and we will get the data of the different, how many people clicked on the video, how many people clicked on this link, how many people clicked on one of the previous ones that I just showed you. So we can see which ones are actually working best for us, what's grabbing people's attention. Is it something that's more wordy, like this one is, or is it something that's just, you know, we're now hiring, check us out type thing. So I'm really interested to get the information back that kind of shares with us, you know, what's actually working and what people are, what they're interested in looking at. And when I talk about people that aren't actively looking, these are actually just going out for people just to, as a passive, hey, well, if you click on it, are you maybe a housewife whose kids are now in school, and so you're thinking, wow, I could maybe go to work from 4 to 7, or I could come in from 10 to 3, or you know what I mean? So it's really for passive people that are looking. So we're just trying to do something a little bit different because everybody's advertising on Indeed. Everybody. You want a job, you go to Indeed. You look up and you just type in the type of job that you want, and you know, up comes all the different places that are hiring. So we're trying to do things a little bit differently, getting our name out there. You know, just hearing it. I really liked the guy's voice as he was commentating on what we were all about. So I'll keep you posted on kind of how all that's working. It's as I said, it's just kind of something fun and a little bit different.
Betsy, how wide is the access? I mean, would this go out to Texas
It's actually, so we started doing zip codes, within about a 30-mile radius, but we also just found out that Facebook does not allow us to do that because for some reason they think that it's, sometimes you can do zip codes by age and income qualified or trying to meet a certain, group of people, which is discriminatory. So we just said, do a 15-mile radius. So it's gonna go around to everybody that's within 15 miles of us. And typically, for positions like ours, especially like the frontline staff, they're probably not gonna be driving from a half hour, 45 minutes away for some of the frontline staff positions. So we thought 15 miles is probably a good radius. So, just kind of something fun, something different. The cost of this, we did a Facebook, what was it called? A job fair. And it was through Facebook, and it was a couple of years ago when we were really struggling again, but it was kind of in the height of COVID. And it was about, I wanna say it was like $5,000 just to do that one Facebook job fair. This is around 5,000, but this is going to go for months and months. This is definitely something that's going to be a little bit more long-term than just that one advertising for the Facebook ads. So, definitely worthwhile, I think, for the money. And we'll see what the data shows and the applicants that we get in from it. So, just looking forward to kind of seeing that.
Betsy?
Yeah.
Could we have our guests, could guests make out a review?
Absolutely. Question was, can guests make out a review? And absolutely, if a guest would like to make out a review, the best thing to do is have them go to the front desk, or you can go to the front desk for them and just ask Laura or Diane for a skinny card review, for them to write a review.
If they're not here now, could they maybe go on Google and?
Oh, sure, yeah. If they know how to go onto Google and write a review, anytime, anybody can do that. They can do it on Facebook, you can do it on, I don't know if Instagram has, I don't think Instagram has reviews. Facebook, Google, and Indeed are the three platforms that we're currently using for reviews. But yeah, anybody can get on anytime and do a review. We actually are doing very well with our reviews. I want to say we have a 4.6 out of 5 for independent living. We are a 4.4 for staffing out of 5, which is very good. If you look at a lot of reviews, they're like down in the 3s. So we're happy that we're up in the 4s. And I want to say, what was it? Facebook was a 4.5, I think. So we're doing really well. And the more that we get, the better we'll be with staff and residents. So encourage anybody that you know to write us a review. We love to read those. We always respond back to those within, we try to get back within a couple of hours, just responding back saying thank you for your review, or if there were questions, who to contact, that sort of thing. So Diana and I kind of keep our eye on that, and then we respond to those in Sharia, and HR will respond to reviews as well. So our occupancy currently in independent living is 95% occupied, and we are 99% sold. Still doing very, very well. And poor Diana and Thomas and Madeline, they're always just that one apartment away from the 100% sold. It's like we just get there and then all of a sudden we have another apartment open, and it's like, so I'm like, we're gonna get there, I promise, we will get there. So this next year in our budget, I have built in celebrations quarterly for occupancy. One of the things I talk about in our orientation and annual in-servicing is I asked the staff, I said, who works for marketing? Who works for sales and marketing? And they all sit there and they're all like, what's her name? And I'm like, I said, I better see everybody's hand go up in here. We all work for sales and marketing. We all do, right? When I'm at a grocery store or any store and they say, where do you work? And I say Friendship Village, and they say, oh, that's that nursing home over on Drake Road, right? And I'm like, no. I'm like, we are a vibrant senior community. We have independent living. I go into my whole elevator speech, and I think they're sorry that they asked where I worked. But I said, it's everybody's job to really promote Friendship Village and who we are. I said, we all work for sales and marketing, and that's when I kind of go into the skinny cards and then they kind of get it. So we're gonna celebrate, over this next year, we'll celebrate all together every quarter. We have goals of our occupancy goals for each quarter. We're involving the staff, all of the staff in that, so that they understand what our goals are, because it is all of our jobs to fill the apartments and fill the rooms in the health center and rehab. And then we'll do some celebrations based on meeting those goals. So one of the things that we really identified while we were building this budget, and actually it's kind of twofold, with the strategy that we're doing. And one of the areas we identified as a weakness for ourselves is outreach. We don't have time to get out of our building to do a whole lot of outreach. Our folks in assisted living are really swamped trying to get them filled back up. We had 24 apartments that opened up within a 2-week time period. And unfortunately, we couldn't open those up because we couldn't move anything based on regulation, and families couldn't come in and take care of their loved ones' things out of the apartments. So we had all those apartments sitting there. So, within about a 3-month time frame, then families were able to come in and start removing some of those items. But 24 apartments to fill up is a pretty big number when we have the number of assisted living communities throughout Kalamazoo. So we're getting there. We're at 83% occupied and 85% sold in assisted living, but they've kind of had a revolving door in assisted living as well. They've had a lot of people, coming in and either passing or going to the health center. So they've had their challenges in filling up in AL as well. But what we really want to do is we really need to focus on outreach for assisted living and also for our skilled nursing. One of the things that Bronson and Borges don't allow you to do is to come into the buildings. We used to be able to go to the hospitals and talk to the discharge planners about who we are, what we offer, and now none of that is allowed anymore. If they choose Friendship Village as one of the 3, so the discharge planners have to give them, they need to get 3 options from them in terms of where they would like to be discharged to. Bronson says they don't tell people that your next step is to go to Bronson Commons, but they do, because our own residents have said, they told me my next step was to go to Bronson Commons. I've tried to fight the battle, I've let them know how we feel about it. They understand how we feel about it. But truth be told, the majority of people go from Bronson to Bronson Commons. We do get some referrals, but we can't go to the hospitals anymore. So we need to go to the doctor's offices. We need to go to the different churches that are around for people that might need, long-term care or some additional rehab, that type of thing. So we need to get out and do some more outreach. With the amount of regulations that the health center and skilled nursing has, it's a pretty tough job for Kathy to try to be over both assisted living and the health center and rehab and try to keep our occupancy up and stay within all of those regulations. for those of you that haven't been here for a while, long-term care is the highest regulated, business in the country, over nuclear power. When HIPAA regulations went into play, long-term care became the highest regulated business in the country. The regulation book is about this big, and we are ecstatic if we get 15 or less citations when an annual survey team comes in. So it's very, and phase 3, they just changed the regulations again. Phase 3 has to be completed by the end of October. And so there's just a lot for Kathy to try to do both independent or assisted living and the health center. And so we're gonna be hiring in an associate administrator. And this associate administrator will report to the executive director, but will primarily oversee assisted living and help with the occupancy and the outreach of assisted living. We're in the process of hiring for that position right now. Tim Kane, who will be the executive director, has the ultimate decision. We're doing kind of some screening for him as he's trying to kind of finalize the things in his responsibilities that he has right now before he gets here. So we've started the interview process for that. The second piece to that is that we're also looking at succession planning. So with me leaving my position, and Kathy Harmon, who's our administrator, is probably 2 to 3 years, she said she might be looking at retirement. So that's two pretty long-term historians that have been here, that have kind of understood operations. And then I think Tim is maybe looking at a 7-8 year-ish commitment before he decides to retire. So we really thought it would be beneficial to, number one, help with occupancy and bringing in an associate administrator, that administrator overseeing assisted living. Once Kathy decides that she's ready for retirement, that administrator, the associate administrator, would kind of transition into the administrator role. By this time, assisted living should be pretty well oiled and doing really well with occupancy and outreach and so forth. And then, potentially that person could ultimately move into the executive director role. One of the things LCS does really well is that they grow their managers, they grow their management team. So if you remember, for those of you that knew me way back when, I was the administrator here at Friendship Village for 4.5 years. I was promoted to executive director and went to Vistagram Villa over in Jackson, and then had the opportunity to come back as executive director here. But LCS does a really fantastic job of bringing people in through what's called the professional development program. So they bring people in, number one, usually sometimes as an intern. They might bring somebody in their PDP program, the professional development program, as a person who's coming out of college, maybe in a healthcare administration program, and brings them in and has them work closely with the PDP program and understanding the whole operations of a community like ours, and then moving them into an administrator position, and then moving them into an executive director position, and the possibility of them moving into a regional position, like Cheryl Strickland, who's our director of operations management. She has a region. So they do a really nice job of just kind of transitioning people and growing people and promoting people within their careers. So we're hoping to have that filled, I think, in November, the associate administrator position, who can really be focusing with assisted living and working with the outreach. And then Kathy and her team can really focus on the outreach specifically for skilled nursing and not necessarily for assisted living and skilled nursing. They're two different niches. They really are, and the outreach needs to be separated on each one of those. So, while assisted living also, they do outreach with the other assisted livings currently, excuse me, but theirs is specific for if one of your people in your assisted living goes into the hospital, send them to our rehab and we'll get them back to you in your assisted living. So that's kind of our current process, but we also know that we need to fill the beds and keep the beds filled. So, I hope that helps to explain a little bit of this position that you might see coming in probably in November sometime.
So, staffing ratios are such that you can increase occupancy. I know for a while, there was a limited amount that you could do because of the staffing, but it sounds like that's on board now.
Yeah, our staffing ratio is definitely getting better. We also have been, we are still using some agency in the health center. We don't like to have to do that, but unfortunately, the agencies, they pay pretty darn good. And it's hard to beat that. And some people like to travel around and do different things. We did just partner with another agency that typically when you partner with an agency and you really like that staff member and you want them to come and work here for us, you have to buy out that contract. And that can get pretty pricey as well. This particular agency that we just are starting a contract with, they do not have a buyout. So if somebody chooses to come and work here with us, they can come over as a Friendship Village employee, which is really nice. So hopefully we'll get that. But the staffing ratios, yes, are definitely better, and we're able to bring our occupancy up based on that. Dave?
Betsy, if the marketing program for increasing occupancy in assisted living is successful and gets up to the maximum or close to it, how will that impact the ability of independent living residents to transition into assisted living if there's no place there?
We've never had that problem. We've been close, but typically what has to happen in a situation like that is the same thing that happens if a resident from assisted living needs to go into the health center and we don't have a bed, is we would take care of you in your apartment until we had an availability in apartments. So we typically always keep a couple open for our own residents, specifically in those two areas, just so that we don't ever run into that. I think there was once when I was the administrator that we were this close to having to take care of somebody in their apartment, but we've never had to do that. We've always had an opening for them.
That's reassuring.
Yeah, and especially in the health center, we typically always keep a couple beds open just to make sure that we've got space for our own residents if need be. But yeah, the operations, everybody does know that if for some reason there isn't an opening, we would take care of you for 24 hours a day until we had an opening for you. All right, I got way off track. A couple of updates. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, there it is. Paving, just in case you were not at the town hall meeting. We are going to start repairs the 27th of September, which is next week. Most of those will be the cement around the drains and so forth that go through all our drive. And then paving will start the following week. October, is that October 2nd? 3rd, something like that. And it'll have to be done in sections, obviously, and so based on that, you'll be rerouted or redirected in different ways of going, and parking. Especially, if you can imagine, the price of this came in a heck of a lot higher than what we had budgeted for, because the cost of fuel has skyrocketed, and what we had budgeted like $360,000 for came in at about $475,000. So we did cut back on the Woods Walk. We do still plan to do that, but it'll probably be next spring, summer, that walk gets redone. But that added quite a bit to it. It primarily is all of our ring road, the road that goes around the entire campus, as well as the front entryway. Those are our worst areas that need to be done and repaired, and it'll give us a fresh new look. Right now, it's just a very worn, tired looking drive. So I think once that gets redone, it's definitely gonna give us that fresh new look. And Brandon is going to be, he and his staff will be communicating in terms of different routes and what areas will be done on what days, and obviously it's going to be weather dependent. We can't control if it rains and that sort of thing, so we will keep you updated every single day on where we're doing and what we're doing on the paving of that. This particular money is money that actually was put into our bonds. So it's not coming directly from our cash, it's money that we had requested when we refinanced our bonds, and it's part of our bond payment. So we had put in for $365,000 in bond money to repave. So we'll get that repaving done, but it won't be coming out of our capital expenditures, which will definitely help with our cash position also. So look for information on that coming up. Ken asked me to mention about the sound in the Kiva. So we have some concerns and a group committee that is being formed for sound audio here in the Kiva. There's been some concerns with like movie night and some other different events that have happened, and so I believe the first meeting for that committee is tomorrow. In looking at, and we do have some IT money also in play for the bonds for situations like this also. So that committee is a new committee that's going to be starting, and that's going to be happening on Thursday. We have not, for those of you that go out to the clubhouse, we have not forgot about the sound. It's a process for the sound in the clubhouse. There's an echo. We had a sound engineer come in. Basically, it's coming from the floor to the ceiling, and it's the floor that's not carpeted to the ceiling is where the majority of the echo's coming from, but also from the wall opposite the one that we already did. Of course, we did the wrong wall. Yeah, so it is a little bit of a process. The coffered ceilings, there's a lot in those ceilings. And so to try to put any type of a sound panel up there is going to be really challenging. I suggested to the operations committee yesterday that maybe we take a look at the flooring that isn't carpeted, and maybe other than the living space, which is by the fireplace, there's usually not a ton of people in that area. So I think the majority of it's coming from the main auditorium there in the Keystone. And what would it cost to maybe carpet that vinyl plank flooring and see if that doesn't help to buffer some of that sound as well. So we're looking at different options. Todd McDonald, who is with, he works with CSM, I'm always so familiar, I'm always saying CMS because I work for the government. CSM, he is actually looking at that and has reached out to several, vendors that work with sound and so forth. So we haven't forgot about it, we're working on it, it is a process. Somebody said, can we come back on ABB for that? And we really can. ABB built it according to the specs. So when we actually built that, we built it very similar to ABB's Walden Woods Clubhouse. But they don't have any vinyl plank flooring either. Theirs is all carpeted and they don't have the echoing. So that's why I'm like, maybe looking at the carpeting, because those are just carpet squares. So it may be that we can get some carpet squares in there, just put them on the floor and don't even attach them yet, and see what that does to the sound. It's definitely probably gonna be cheaper than, you know, trying to go with all different sound panels and that sort of thing. So we're looking at a lot of different options, but I just wanted to keep you updated on that. October 27th, I have October 27th written down.
The shots, move that.
Shots, yes, we covered the shots, thank you, Judy. And I think that's all I have. I've been talking for a full hour on a lot of different stuff. I know I've kind of bounced all over the place. Maisie?
Well, I guess I'll still listen because a bunch of us were talking about it before I came. Where is the dog run in the hierarchy of things to do?
The dog run in the hierarchy of things to do was updated to me by Ken that said it hasn't moved. So I'm not sure, I don't have a good answer for that. He just said that nothing has moved forward from where it was previously, and I don't even know where it was previously. All I know was that he had said it was, I think it was being designed, and I don't know that they had a full cost for it yet.
He mentioned a figure of 20,000.
Oh, okay.
And we were all wondering where he got the figure.
I think he may have gotten the figure. I do know that, so if you didn't hear, the figure that Ken had originally said was around 20,000, and he's probably going with the area that needed to be cemented, along with the fence, along with, there was some outdoor furniture that is like around the year furniture that doesn't have to be removed. I think it's metal or something with a coating on it, that I would think that would have been a part of the number, but I've not seen any type of a quote or anything on it yet.
Have any members who actually own dogs and are using dog parks being used with input on this?
I don't know. Is anybody here, do you have a dog and have you given any input on the dog park?
I'm gonna suggest Sally Walker, because she's talked about it. I don't know whether she is, but I'm sure she'd engage with you if you asked her.
Is that who you were gonna suggest, Jan?
Yes, Sally Walker and I have met with Ken and Brandon on 2 different occasions to have a discussion about a plan coming forward.
Okay. Okay, so if you didn't hear, Sally and Jan have both met with, Ken and Brandon, on a couple of different occasions on kind of what the expectations would look like.
Right.
So, and Sally, I know Sally owns dogs, or Shiloh, right?
I think they can use a local.
Yes.
A local dog park,
Yes. Obviously.
yeah.
And I requested for a horse, but you need 2 acres per horse.
it's funny because there are communities that are being built with equestrian, equestrian therapy, I think is basically what it is. More so out west, I think, than here, but I have seen, some of those out in the Arizona area for horses.
Betsy, I was wondering, are we going to meet the new executive director before you leave us?
You are. So Tim is going to be coming. He is in the process of moving right now. They were packing him up and moving him across the country from California. He is going to start on November 1st with me, and I'm going to give him all my wealth of knowledge that I have for a few days, and then November 3rd, there will be a goodbye hello party that will be held, I think, here in the Kiva area because of the number of people that are expected to come in and say goodbye and meet Tim, and so you definitely will have a chance to meet before I depart. Bittersweet for sure.
I have a question about the facade of the apartments that face the aquatic courtyard. We've been watching the birds fly in and out of that for 5 years.
Mhm.
Is that on the agenda to be repaired?
That is on the agenda to be repaired within weeks. So, we have all of the wood prepared. We have. Well, it has not been easy to get contractors to do it. That's been the challenge, is getting contractors that will actually come and do it. So we have everything ready and prepared for them to do. It's just getting them here to do it. And Brandon said that he had a couple that he was working on that he said we should be able to get that repaired this fall. Yeah. And then I think that's part of the master plan is the outside facade, of the building, and maybe putting up some sort of maybe like like vinyl siding, like a siding, to make it look a little bit different. As far as the master plan goes, we have just been playing tag back and forth with LCS development and trying to really finalize the health center. And I laughed because the last one I saw, they dropped the health center beds down to 20, and I said, what? I said, we're budgeted for 29 in the health center, that doesn't include the 16 rehab. So we need to get back on the same page, and we've been playing tag, and oh my gosh, they didn't make this appointment, and so we are set for, is it tomorrow afternoon? Maybe next Tuesday afternoon, to where we're gonna sit down and really discuss the health center. I think LCS development, when we were in discussions, at least from what I can tell from what they actually provided, was we were looking at 2 20-unit neighborhoods, and I think they thought we just needed 1 20 neighborhood and then the 16-bed rehab. And it's like, no. We're like I said, we're budgeted for 29 in our health center, and we can take up to 41. I said, if anything, drop the 1, and make it 2 20s. So we'll get back to that, but it'll probably be two 20 room or 20 bed, some semi-private, some private, more of neighborhoods concept versus, more of the institutional long hauls, that type of thing. So as soon as we get some finalization on the conceptual drawing on that, then we'll present that to all the residents so that you can kind of see what we're looking at. But again, this is probably the next 2 to 10 years that the master plan looks out on. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? I know it was a hodgepodge of information, I think, all over the place, but hopefully it was interesting information. it's funny, because I said to Teresa at lunch, I said, I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about today, but obviously it doesn't take for lunch for me. I'm a jibber jabber, as my mom always said.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, thanks for coming. Bye. What's that?
Director ever experienced a Michigan winter?